Okay, everybody, we are live and in person, and we're going to pray that we're on YouTube somewhere in the background. I've just been jamming all day and having a great time. We've got Sierra. How do you like to say your last name?
Riddle like a joke.
Okay, riddle like a joke. And it's really amazing. All the we're planning a concert, and we're planning to do a concert at Oakland Coliseum, and we want the likes of all these people that are starting to do their own concerts again because of war. So our concert will not just be for everybody, for the prisoners, and Freedom Grow here and all that stuff, and for the Canna moms. It's going to be now. I'm going to do a Woodstock. I'm going to get Joan Baez and everybody. Let's get everybody on and make it happen. And then we'll go to New York and then to London, and Landon will come with us, and we'll take everybody to London, and we'll go to Wembley Stadium. We'll have 100,000 people saying no more war and bring our prisoners home. What do you think about
That's
that? I know. What the hell? Hang on. Let me get somebody else just popped in the Zoom room here. Oh, we got another lady coming in. Yeah, I love ladies on my show. Ladies on my show grow good. So I went to the Canna Moms. Not the Canna Moms. I went to the Women in Weed a few years ago, and I was like the only guy that had his own booth, but I was doing interviews, and I was also DJing. They wanted me to DJ. They gave me a couple $100 for a DJ, whatever. But the funny thing is that when they were giving out awards, I got the OG Kush award for best booth. They liked my booth. I had purple tie dye and stuff, and it was all in my suitcase, and I popped it out, and nobody pays for me anymore to go to a show and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna fucking do the concert, everybody. We're gonna do a concert at Oakland Coliseum. We're asking Mike Tyson, if you're out there, and Montel for $3 million to put this concert on, because we'll double that at the door before Canna drinks, and in Cali you can smoke out in the parking lot where we'll have a second stage. And I just got in touch with I'm getting closer to getting back in touch with Flea from the Chili Peppers. I mean, come on, I've got it going on, but I haven't pulled it off yet. So everybody, Freedom Grow is having their event. They're going to the DC. It's happening this month, and that's going to happen. I was in DC with Jeff Mazansky when he got free for DPA, and nobody does. This is the DPA poster right here. No war on drugs, but I learned there it's a war on people.
Yeah, it's not about the drugs, really. It's about the people, because even the people that are just doing, trying to do the research or, develop actual products that can help conditions, right? Nope. Not allowed to do that, Jeff. So it's not a war on drugs. It's a war on the people that want to be a steward of the cannabis plant.
That's what I learned. I learned that it was a war on people. Carrie, welcome. I saw you earlier online. You're muted. Come unmute yourself and give us a shout, and then I'll play my intro, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff, so much for inviting me. I know that I'm a busy woman like we all are, and so I haven't had the opportunity. Shout out to you, Jeff, for all the hard work, man. Sierra, I love you, lady. You are rich. You and your mama. Love you, ladies. Thank you so much, all of you guys. Mwah. One love, for real.
We love you too, Carrie.
And we got Grasshopper coming on right now. Grasshopper in the house. We got a house full of ladies, Grasshopper, and so now it's even. It's an even score. Yeah.
Thank you anyway.
Rodimus, we would love for you to meet Carrie and Sierra.
Hello, Carrie. Hello, Sierra. I'll be with you in just a moment, usually. Hello.
Good to meet you, love. Good to meet you.
Rodimus is not on soil here. He's across the water.
Oh, awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff, it doesn't matter if you're on this side of the pond or the other. Nobody really has good access to what we need from this plant, and people are still getting put in prison over there for it as well, too.
Absolutely, yeah. She's
That is
totally
true.
right. We got a lot of work. We still have tons of work to do, guys. You know, I got a call. So I don't know if everybody's interested in knowing. So Carrie Boyder is a really good friend of mine. She's out of, I believe, and then we also have JC Green. He's out of, come on, Carrie. Where Uncle Stoner is. I can't think of where he, Michigan. You know, and so I got a call from a couple people that have been up in Washington, D.C. in reference to the new regulations that President Trump has brought down the schedule. However, you know, there's a lot of controversy. Of course, we all have our own, you know, thought process. But one of the interesting things that I was asked is within my district, if I would contact a whole bunch of the dispensaries and share out with them the new DEA requirements to be a reimbursed dispensary. And so I found it very interesting, the language that is being used. And I continue to say, I need more information to hand the dispensary owners, you guys. You got to give me more information. And so I got a QR code yesterday. And so I'm able to send out emails, but I really want to meet with people in person.
QR codes, we love them. We love them.
I just wanted to shout out to everybody doing the hard work at the Capitol, trying to get reimbursement for our medicine. And so I'm a patient, and I really, really, really honor the fact that patients shouldn't have to put out money for their pharmaceuticals, which I don't. But when it comes to cannabis being my medicine, I have to pay for it.
Do you get federal medicine? Do you get federal medicine?
Like
LV?
No. I unfortunately, I'm not as blessed as LV is. I love that lady. I just saw her on Saturday. I just gave her a big hug on Saturday. I was with Paul in Eugene, Oregon.
Oh, fantastic.
Paul Stanford from the THCF Foundation. And then my doctor was also there speaking on the panel. So I was up in Eugene on Saturday for a industrial cannabis event.
I lived in Eugene in the 70s. And I did. John Belushi was there, and we're talking about OGs, old guys, but he's no longer with us. But they were doing toga parties, and they made Animal House at my school. They filmed it there, and it was so fun being like, I was 20 years old, and I was there while on campus they were doing the Animal House rock, and we had toga parties. So my angels have given me some work to do, but they've also blessed me with the synchronicity of play and meeting Sierra way back when her child was, they moved, if I'm right, you guys moved from Florida to Colorado so you could get your child who had brain cancer medicine, correct?
You are close, a little off. We live in Florida now, but we actually lived in Utah, which is way worse, and had to go to Colorado from Utah. And my son had blood cancer that had spread into his brain, into his CNS. And so he had terminal leukemia that was high risk, CNS positive, and also with a small tumor of leukemia cells in his chest.
Sorry to hear that. That sounds terrible.
It was, but don't be sorry for me. It ignited a fire under my ass that led me to a lot of great research, to Rick Simpson himself, Dr. Robert Malamud, rest in peace. And I was able to cure my son's cancer using frequencies, detox, cannabis oil, and not only that, but reverse all the damages and disabilities he received from the chemotherapy and radiation before he was sent home on hospice.
Wow. Amazing. Congratulations. That's a heroic thing you did.
And
you guys, it makes me want to cry because if Sierra had listened to those doctors, her son would not be here. And Sierra, thank you for being you, sweetheart, because you've done a lot of the footwork for a lot of people out here. And all they need to do is hear you and listen to you and follow you. And they will. I know. It makes me cry. Sierra, I cry because Landon, is a lot. We love Landon, and he has changed our lives. You, woman, you almost died too. You were not doing well. And thank you for our universe and the plant, because honest to goodness, anything that we use that's made by man is bad for us. We do not need to eat through McDonald's and Taco Bell. We need to grow a garden, and we need to eat like our ancestors did and go back to the real of what is real. Sierra, thank you for everything you and your mom have taught me. I am almost 60, and I've learned so much from you guys. You're a blessing. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And yes, when Landon was cured, which I feel like that's a very important thing to talk about in cancer. In fact, there's a doctor right now. He's the nicotine doctor, and I'm sorry, not the nicotine. That's Dr. Brian Artis. He's the ivermectin and fenbin doctor. He's from Canada. He posted that a child was cured of brain cancer using ivermectin and fenbin, but the child received, a resection of the brain tumor, radiation, chemotherapy, all the stuff. And he put cured, and the kid has, the scan was in January. Y'all, cured in cancer is 5 years of remission. 5, not when you go into remission. A lot of people can get into remission using chemotherapy, radiation, immunotherapy, whatever you want to say, even cannabis oil. If you stop taking it right when you go into remission, if you don't do a maintenance course, right, you are going to relapse or have a secondary cancer from the treatments they gave you the first time. So to get to cured, y'all, it's a commitment, right? You have to really mind your diet, mind your detox, right? Mind your stress levels, right? All these things really go into it. It really does. I mean, there's so much involved. But cured is 5 years, right? So my son is 13 years cancer-free, and I'm 7 years cancer-free. I had stage 4 colon cancer that had already metastasized to different parts of my colon and anus, and I treated myself the same way I treated Landon: no chemo, no radiation, anything. But we did change our diets, we detox, we still do those things to this day. So I always preach that this is a full picture. It is not one thing that is a miracle. You have got to add the whole pieces of the puzzle if you want to get to longevity, not just remission.
Absolutely. Yes.
Sierra, I saw you had a Rife machine.
I do. I have 10 of them now.
Woo!
Yes, I opened a affordable healing and detox center here in my town. It's actually built onto my house where people can stay here. It's Sleep 6 actually for families, and it has 8 Rife machines. I have 2 of them in here for me and my family, and it has so many different capabilities. Jeff, it's not, a lot of people are talking about Rife machines like it's this, and you just turn it on and set it next to you or put it on you. No. Mine has cold lasers, brain lasers, ear lasers, TINS units for different parts of the body. It even has a probe.
When did Rife die? Pass on? When did it was in the last 20 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They made him out to be such a quack because he cured, quite a few patients at a university in 90 days. And then they took his machines, his research, everything, and turned it into quackery when the pharmaceutical industry was really taking over all of the holistic things we've had for thousands of years.
Amazing.
Wow. I want to say it was Tesla that said frequency is the past, present, and future of medicine. And now we see that. A few years ago when I was talking about it, everybody was like, what? You're not there yet, right? The train hasn't arrived at the station, but there's so much that can be done with these Rife machines. And in fact, I'm actually, they reached out to me, the Rife machine maker, Spooky 2, that, they started sharing my videos where I was just talking about it, and said that a lot of people said that they would like to learn from me because of the way I talk and the way I teach. I make it very easy. And so invited me to take their courses to become an expert and a certified trainer for people that have cancer or kids with cancer. So that's exciting news for me and for everybody.
Amazing. And you are going to blow it off with the rocker, dude, because I love you. I know you're going to.
I
I
told,
really believe that if we could get, everybody, a couple plants of cannabis, right, that have a good wide profile, right? A little, garden space, or even the tower garden if they can't grow outdoor, if they live in an apartment, whatever. And a couple detox machines, right? That can be an infrared sauna, it can be a foot detox, and then a rest machine. Oh, y'all, Mike Tyson left hook right there. Everybody would be getting better, right? But most people in America are deficient in vital nutrients and minerals, and you need those to fight cancer. So once you get cancer, and then we're killing the body with radiation, chemo, narcotics, antibiotics, steroids, it is very difficult for a person to survive that. But the people that do survive it, those are only the strongest survive. Well, a lot of us are we're the weak link. And a lot of kids are dying. A lot of adults are now dying. And every year, the NIH and PubMed puts out their predictions, right?
right.
You can go look every state, every cancer, and see which ones you're probably going to get. Certain states have higher brain cancer. Certain states have higher prostate cancers. I live in Florida at the beach. Guess which one we have? Skin cancer.
Skin, right.
But that's the only one. If I live somewhere, and I was rearing children still, right? That said DIPG, right? Neuroblastoma, which is a tumor on the adrenaline gland on top of the kidney, right? Osteosarcoma, which is off of the bones, right? Anything like this, I'd move. Cancer hotspots are a very real thing in this country, and a lot of people can't seem to understand why people are so sick.
Right.
It's the environment.
So Sierra, I'm a community health worker, and I sat on a board called Fourth Pine Forward. I want to show you this real quick. So when I was growing at home, oh, here we go. Turn it around. When I was growing at home, this is the machine that I would.
Yes.
So I would literally use this little thing right here to grow, and the light goes up high, and you can keep your little baby small. They can go into bud right there in your house. So yes, people can grow in an apartment.
Yes.
And so what you were just talking about, as a community health worker, I sat on a board, and it was within a certain region here in the Clark County region. And what I'll say is, they were saying how we have a lot of asthmatics within this corridor. And I says, well, duh, you have a freeway going this way, a freeway going. I'm just like, it's all closed in with freeways around it within this little population. And all these people have asthma and emphysema. Well, you got freeways all the way around the corridor you're speaking of. And then we have another area that's called Fruit Valley, and it's where all the railroads are. And they have the low-income housing down there with the railroads. And if people don't know this, I'm going to share it. A railroad is ran by coal, and the coal is burnt, and then it goes up into our clouds, and then it rains back down on the land. So it taints our land. It takes away our nutrients from our soil. And the people that are living in that corridor that are low income on housing, the population of people that are being killed by this toxin, are the low income people that can't afford to live in different places. And so what I have noticed as a community health worker is, if you're very poor and you need assistance, you're probably going to live in a place that's going to give you cancer, asthma, emphysema, something, because that's where they place everybody. So yes, the places that we live are super important to our well-being and our health. I live out in the country. I live on a farm. I live away from everybody, and I see animals every day. And so I get to love my land, and I get to, go barefooted on the soil. And literally, I don't even like to go into town because it's so toxic. As soon as I leave my house and start going into town, I feel it. So thank you for saying that, Sierra. You are completely correct.
Yes, and Carrie, you are exactly right that the poor people, the lower class, right, is on the chopping block of depopulation. They really are, right? And usually in lower income places, they don't have good schools, right? Because they're not funded. They don't have good healthcare. They don't have good anything, right? They have Dollar Generals and the Dollar Tree, right? And Walmart. So the group of people that they're doing this to is for a lot more nefarious reasons. Once those people get sick, they get Medicaid, right? And then they go into the pipeline of the pharmaceutical industry, which then, leads me back to why Jeff asked me to be here today. You know, with the a lot of people have asked me about this because I work in mainly pediatric cannabis, right? So it's a very sect arena over here that most people don't want to deal with. But our kids are worthy of healing. They really are. And we, you know, until we have research, right, about the cannabis plant and all of its different things, right? Like, just prime example, I've been saying forever, if you tell me that this strain, right, is 25% THC, what's the rest? The rest is a bigger number, and we don't know. So, but research is literally hand up the ass puppeted by the pharmaceutical industry. We've had Marinol, which is synthetic THC. That's actually how I avoided prison. They gave my son Marinol in Utah, and you only get it if you have end-stage cancer or AIDS in America, right? And it's been around since, I want to say, the 60s or 70s. So they've already made it a pharmaceutical, and they do give it to people, right? And it does not work.
It's weaker than shit. It's weaker than shit. Yeah.
A lot of side effects, right? So they already know that it's a medication, right?
Yeah.
If you just go to PubMed and NIH and type in, you know, cannabis, THC, CBD, right? Any of the words that you want, right? And cancer, boom, you will see so much research. Now go to, you know, across the pond where our friend up there in the screen is, they have their own research in Europe and everywhere else, right? Israel has research. Every country has research.
Dr. Machulam, right? Dr. Machulam.
We are the only ones, right, that will not believe the own research that we do about anything natural, because you cannot make money in mass, right? Our healthcare industry last year made over $4 trillion. That's a lot. You cannot do that if we're all growing it and consuming it. We're detoxing, right? We would not have a need for them anymore. And I'll never forget, a long time ago, I was speaking at a conference. I want to say it was either the Patients Out of Time or the big science conference that happened in Denver every year. And this man told me that and he was a doctor, right? That if I created the cure for cancer, and it was this right here, I give it to you, it cures your brain cancer. I give it to you, it cures your butthole cancer. I give it to you, it cures your breast cancer. It cures your blood cancer. All of them, right?
Right.
I would ruin our entire country overnight. And I'm all, what? And he said, Sierra, think about it. From the bottom of the janitor, right, at every hospital, all the way to the researchers and in between, they would all lose their jobs overnight. And I told him, so did the loggers. You can find something else to do besides practice medicine on my kid. Go practice on your kid.
Yeah, practice.
Experiments from outer space. It's really like, you know, you get taken up into a spaceship and they start experimenting on you. I mean, they're curious, but it's still the greed machine.
And, you know, the biggest UFO of experimentation is St. Jude. Everybody always wants to talk about how great they are. No, they're not. They experiment on children. And they've never found a cure for anything. We don't even have better treatments from St. Jude, y'all. The treatments have been the same for 30 fucking years.
Wow.
So what is it that they are researching? Well, they told me they want to make the treatments better, right? To where not as many people are dying, but depopulation will always be at the forefront of the people that run this world's mind, right? Bill Gates and everybody else. And secondly, you know, if they were able to cure people, the funeral industry would go out of business. Do you know how many people die from cancer every year? I mean, it's a circle jerk, y'all. Right. And I just looked at this man and I was like, I get what you're saying, I do, but I still don't care. I'm still going to try to keep pushing this ball forward until we find something that if I give it to you, the protocol, right? I give it to you, it works. I give it to you, it works. I give it to you, it works, right? There is a way. We've cured thousands between Dr. Bob, Corey Yellen, Sharon Ware, Sierra, Robin Swan. I mean, we could keep going. Peter O'Toole. We can keep going, y'all. We can keep going.
Sierra, when I was
hundreds of thousands.
When I was a kid, Sierra, I told my dad, somebody knows. Okay. And so he said, what do you mean? I said, somebody, and I was 8 or 9. I said, somebody knows who killed Kennedy.
Yeah.
And I said, the guy who shot him. So somebody knows how to get free electricity, how to make the car out of water, how to cure cancer. And now,
Boy, those people, Jeff, have all died, huh?
yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. But I'm just saying is that I was a kid, and kids know, right? Landon was freaking amazing when he was in the movie. He just tapped the lens, and I said, "Hey, Landon, you're going to be a filmmaker now." And he goes, "Yeah, now," And he was 4 years old when I got him, on Jeff Mazansky's film. And so I'm just so happy to see you again, both of you ladies, Carrie and Sierra. Yeah. It's a little bit of stony moment, but I just really, I'm not going to say I'm tired of the man game, because Machulam was one of my heroes. I got to meet Dr. Machulam in Colorado. I got to meet him, and he was like my Ansel Adams. He was like my Buckminster Fuller. He was like somebody that, the Tesla guy. And I got to meet Machulam, and he signed my little magazine, and we hugged, and I got a photo with him. It was like hanging out with Tommy Chong.
Yeah, does everybody here know who Mr. Machulam was?
I do. And I also know what he put at the end of his life, which...
What's the end part? Where does it go after that? Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Jeff, I want to share this with you guys because I love our conversation here. So in 2015, I became a community health worker. And what happened at that time is an opioid crisis happened. And a gentleman by the name of Dr. Hart, who was my doctor back in the day, given me 120 Norco, Vicodin 10, and given me 60 Valium 10 a month. And I was also on Ambien, and I was on Thorazine, lithium, and Xanax. This was my cocktail daily, okay? No, I'm not on none of that shit no more. However, Dr. Hart was the one that prescribed all of those painkillers. And now we're doing this opioid crisis thing. And I'm at a meeting, a board meeting, and he comes in to talk to us about the opioid crisis and how in his younger years, when he became a doctor, he bought into the pharmaceutical company that he actually wrote the prescriptions that got me addicted for over 17 years on Norcos. But he actually bought into the pharmaceutical company that he was actually writing the prescriptions. Now he has told everybody with use of pharmaceuticals that are scheduled, that it actually takes away your own receptors in your brain for pain. And he said, we have killed all of your pain receptors, and that's why you are needing our medicine. So we need to keep you on it because you're not a candidate to be taken off. However, guess what? I am not on all that crap. I'm really not. I think I take maybe one pill a day now, and it's for my thyroid. I'm on a lot of things that are natural, European stuff. And so all I know is when we got doctors that are writing prescriptions, how do we know that they're not writing a prescription to fill their bank account? Because that's what Dr. Hart shared with me. And now he's out there in the United States doing this opioid crisis throughout the whole United States, going everywhere, when he was the creation and cause of what happened to me. He killed all my brain receptors by being that doctor, shoving pills down my throat. So, yeah, we got lots of work to do, Sierra, and I love you, girl.
That's, Carrie, that's, obviously cancer is the hill I'm going to die on, right? But I was a heroin addict because I had broken so many bones as a child. I've broken over 30 bones in my life now. And, my parents didn't know better, right? You break a bone, you go, they give you the pain meds, right? Well, I kept breaking them so often that I kept getting them and I became dependent. Well, the last, I had to have surgery on both of my feet to remove bones and put metal rods and all sorts of shit. And they came in, all excited, saying that, there's this new drug out and they were going to take me off all these other ones, right? Muscle relaxers, the pain medicine.
If you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't use it.
And put them over here, right? Which was just one called Oxycontin, right? So we were all like, oh, yay, that's awesome, right? That shit ruined my life. And I became a heroin addict. And I got sober right before Landon was actually diagnosed with cancer. I was like 35 days sober when Landon was diagnosed. So our sober dates and his cancer date is very close together. And over all of these years, I've been able to help over 500 opioid and narcotic addicts get off of them by replacing them with cannabis oil-based products like tinctures or gummies or salves and tinctures, whatever the issue is that they have. And they're able to live a way better life, right? They're, not having the constipation issues and all these other issues that they were having, and their pain is under control. And over time of them using it, because it is something you're going to have to take forever, just like you would the narcotics or opioids, right? That over time, and it does take time. So don't think I'm saying a month. I'm talking a year or more of consistent use. Their body started to heal.
Yes.
Narcotics and opioids will never do that for you. You could take it for 30 years and your back's still going to hurt. Cannabis is a homeostasis plant, which means it wants to heal you of everything, but we all have a lot going on, right? So your thyroid, your blood sugars are out of control, you eat bad food, so you've got high blood pressure, right? Anxiety, depression, got cancer cells coming in. That's a lot of work for cannabis, right? So we have to give the body enough to do, or a long enough period of time, either more in the milligrams to get all the jobs done, or enough period of time that all the jobs can get done, and you will start to see your body heal.
Yes.
And most people are like, you want me to take cannabis for a year? You've been taking OxyContin for 4, lady.
Right.
Can I get the same amount of time?
Yeah.
Same thing.
So what I tell people is, if you don't like what you're doing, you don't like what's going on with you, change it. Do something different. If you stay complacent in something you don't like, it is actually called insanity. So you got to change yourself. You got to change your mindset. Everything about you. If you need to take out the people in your life to make you well, that is absolutely something that people should look at. And it's not that the people are making them sick, but if we take out that energy around us that's negative and we create positivity in our world, in our space, we won't have all of those toxins in our bodies because our brain is not creating it. So it's really up to us to make that change. We can talk to them in the face, Sierra. We can give them all the proof they want. And it's really up to them to make a difference.
You know what I like to call that?
Rodimus?
Self-help.
Rodimus?
Self-help, yes.
You
I
have
just want to say, you ladies are so incredibly articulate. I really appreciate how you've expressed a lot of really important information in a very, very concise and easy to understand way. So I just want to say you both have that skill set, and that's why it's so great to have you both on the show tonight. I mean, thank you both for coming, and I hope people are hearing this, because obviously this is not the first time you guys, either of you have put out this message, but you've really got it down, and I just want to say thank you for that as well. You're not just having done this for your child and for yourself, you're also able to communicate that and help others through your communication, which is a gift. So I just want to say thank you to both of you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words.
Absolutely. Thank you.
from across.
I always tell people that things just keep happening to me and I can't shut up about it.
Right?
Well, don't ever stop, girl, because you got the gift.
Well, thank you. And honestly, it got to the point, a few good years ago now, because it's been 14 years almost now for me and Landon, that I started to realize that the amount of misinformation that was going around, right, that was taking hope away from people that thought, they could never access healing, they could never, get better, right? And that's not true.
Right.
Everybody can access all of the things that we're doing. And they say this a lot in multiple. It's not what you know; it's who you know, right?
So can you both list a source that people can go to? Each of you probably have one place that you refer people to when they ask you this question. Where can one go to get some of that information? Not necessarily all of it. Obviously, you are both keepers and sharers of that. But where can someone else go besides you guys to get some of this info?
Honestly, that's a good question. There over the years, there had, I would, if this was 5, 6 years ago, I would say Dr. Robert Malamud. There was so many, amazing people that really, had a lot of the information and, the stuff that everybody was looking for. And unfortunately, they either, passed away or they got so sick and bankrupted that they had to quit. And so most of their websites and, all of that stuff went away, which led me actually to wanting to start, reaching out and working with some of the older people to carry on that torch. Because, let's just say you have the most informational website like Cannabis Health Radio. Cannabis Health Radio is where there is hundreds and hundreds of patient testimony, right? And it's all recorded interview style. Well, Corey Yelland was the person who owned that. She passed away. Thank God somebody was able to get in there and get ownership of it and put their credit card or debit card, because if you don't pay for your website domain, it goes away. So I believe that we all need to get together and find, have one place like a Wikipedia, if you will, where people can add their own information. Because even if we get, some really good information in one place, it seems like it always disappears.
The book.
I love your idea, Sierra. That absolutely, it would be really nice to have that one spot to go to.
That book you were talking about is a PDR, and there's no PDR for natural medicine. It's all pharmaceutical. And so we need the PDR for the hippies, and for the future, and for us to be able to, the lady that I'm seeing right now from out of the country, but she's here. I found her at 3 a.m. eating dandelions in the backyard.
Nice.
She was picking them and eating them, and I said I want one, and right. She was throwing them down my throat. So that's the mystique in the world. Everybody, I'm going to reset the room. It's Jeff Eichen with Weeds Day, episode 310. And so we're really excited to have a great conversation going today. We just got schedule 3, everybody, and it doesn't mean we're free.
No. And it also doesn't mean that any of our pot prisoners are going to be released, Jeff.
That's why we got to stay together. And I'm so glad to reconnect with you, Sierra, and let's ink it up and do the Canna movie or do the Landon movie. Let's do it. I'm ready for you. And Carrie, I'm ready for you too. And Rodimus, I'm always ready for you. Everybody, I'm going to share.
I would love to hear from Rodimus about how the cannabis thing is going on his side of the world.
Yes, me too.
He's unmuted.
There we go. Unmuted. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for the question. So there's a lot of dispensaries around France. I've been living here for 9 years. There are a lot of dispensaries, and they're only doing CBD, which is, good start. And they have things to, they have a lot of different kinds of CBD. And they have, of course, tools to use to absorb that medicine. So about 7 years ago, when the current president Macron, when he was elected, one of the first things he tried to do in the first 6 months of office was legalize THC. But the parliament wouldn't let him. They just, it was too forward of an idea. So clearly he wants to do that. It was one of the first things he did when he got elected. So these CBD dispensaries are in place. And there is, so when that lever does get pulled at some point, because it will, just don't know when exactly, then there will be already an infrastructure for the distribution of plant medicine.
Didn't you say, Rodimus, you can get psilocybin?
I don't want to say that on the Zoom broadcast.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
Okay.
But there are methods that one can obtain that are actually legal, or I should say, in a gray zone legally, and it's through the mail.
Mycelium, yes.
Well, and other things. There are the Norwegian government, not Norway, excuse me.
Denmark.
Thank you. Denmark actually they're part of the European Union, and they actually have It's legal there. So for them to put it in the mail through the European Union mail system is actually allowed. So people in countries where it's not legal to go to a store or to buy it or to have it can receive it in the mail. So that's kind of
interesting.
Yeah. So
do you think that, maybe the slow, uptick of it is because y'all's country doesn't have the severity of health issues that we do here in America?
Well, actually, I mean, it's an intelligent question, but I have to say there's a pretty high cancer rate here because French people still smoke a lot, part of the old French movies, like have sex and have a cigarette, kind of thing. So, yeah, so there's a high cancer rate. There's also a lot of the wine industry is very big here, and the wine industry uses a lot of chemicals, sadly, in the vineyards. Monsanto came through here 100 years ago and sold these farmers, a bill of goods. They don't use it on produce. They don't use chemicals on the food supply, but they do use it on winemaking. So there's a lot of acres in France with vineyards, and unfortunately, several chemicals are used all the time in there. So people are exposing themselves to that when they're working in the vineyards, and of course, it's in the air. And if you live near too close to a vineyard, you're going to get some of that stuff in your backyard too. So yeah, I wish I could say it was a little bit, well, let's just put it this way. It's interesting. It's ironic. The produce, when you go to the supermarket, here, the regular produce is like what organic is in the States, right?
Yeah.
And there's even a higher level of produce production above that called BIO, which is actually an even more stringent standard than the US has for organic. So yeah, so you're right of having heard that, Sierra, that it is in fact.
What about autism?
Autism? And psychotherapy and mental and developmental challenges are about 10 years behind in France. So they are not as progressed as the US in general is, and certainly the West Coast in particular of the US has even some more progressive stuff going on. But all that's started becoming pretty much across the country at this point. Nonetheless, France is, yeah, they're easily 10 years behind all that. So good question.
That's good to hear, but it does also make me sad because you are going to catch up to us eventually. And I would really hope that, France would put a stop to that before it gets to the point here, because now we're getting close to 1 in 3 children born in America have autism. And, like whole groups of families with 5 kids, they all have autism. We don't have, care for them in facilities and stuff anymore. So it's a very desperate situation here for a lot of people.
Yeah, here's a big difference between the two cultures and why you might have heard that people are healthier in general in France. That actually is true. There's not obesity here in the numbers that in the US. People are much more sports oriented, bicycling, hiking, things like that. It's a more sporty culture, but also, and this is what I think you can probably both agree with me, Carrie and Sierra, that, because the French don't have to worry about healthcare costs, their life is less stressful. They don't have that.
Yes.
WEEDSDAYS. To the stage here. Here we go. So we went down. It's episode 310. We went down for about 10 minutes. We had two lovely ladies on, Carrie and Sierra and Rodimus. Was a fantastic show. I know we're still streaming. We're back in, and I hope that this is going. So let's go.
Elliot had a sense of humor, I had a sense of humor, and we wanted to keep things light about something that was very serious. At the time, we lived in Tom Mix's cabin, the log cabin in Little Canyon, and that's where we would rehearse, and Tom had a vault downstairs next to the bowling alley. And our manager would actually lock us in the vault because the police were always trying to bust us. He would lock us in the vault, give us a couple of joints, and we'd get ready for our rehearsal. So we were one day in there, locked in the vault, and I'm talking, and I'm very animate. My hands move all the time.
Go into survival. Yes. But the most important thing is even if you have to disconnect your third eye, right, which is your antenna into the spiritual realm, which is where your ancestors are, your guardian angels, everybody, right, and your inner voice, so that you can survive, okay, whatever's going on with you. At some point, you have to agree to turn it back on.
Or to refocus your attention and listen to it, yeah.
Once you get out of that traumatic situation, right, it's not happening to you anymore. It happened.
Right.
It's not happening anymore. So then you have to turn it back on, or you will go throughout your life making horrible choices when this should have been turned on to tell you, hey, don't do that. Don't eat that. That's gonna give you food poisoning. If you get really in tune and let it go, it'll try to dictate your whole life like an inner monologue, right? Oh, Sierra, you should turn left here because something bad's gonna happen up there. And then I see, okay, turn left. And then I see there's a horrible car accident. Oh, well, shoot.
Right.
Right.
So
Well,
people don't believe in themselves. And I think
hope
Carrie could probably speak to that as well. If you don't believe in yourself or your own thoughts or your own mind, you will believe anybody else.
Thank you, Sierra. Absolutely. So I am a Washington State peer support counselor, you guys, for youth and families. I have some titles from colleges and stuff, so I love what you guys are talking about. And absolutely, 100% correct. I call that my gut feeling. I have a gut feeling and I go with that gut feeling, and nobody else understands that gut feeling I may have. But if I go with my gut feeling, 9 out of 10, I should have went with the gut feeling.
Recording in progress.
And if I do not go with my gut feeling, I know better because my third eye did the antenna and told me, don't do this, or don't go there, or don't be around them. But yet I will choose, I make these bad choices for myself, and I go, I knew better. My gut told me. So as we get older, we learn to listen to our own bodies respond, and that is a gut feeling. In the world that I work in is mental health, and if we hear voices, first thing they're going to go to is, she has schizophrenia. And so, unfortunately, I have not been, I'm not unfortunately, but fortunately, I have never been diagnosed with that one, but I've been diagnosed with a host of the other ones. However, to me, it's a label. People should not be labeled. We are human. We are all unique, and we are all very special. And could we all imagine all being identical, the same? What kind of a world we'd live in? It would be so ew. And so I also want to chime in on the fact that you had said something about not taking medication. In the last year, I've had 2 surgeries. I had clostoma, and they had to cut behind my ear from the top all the way down, fillet my ear open to get to the clostoma. That was really close to the cerebral fluid of the back part of my brain. And so they were worried it was going to grow into the brain, and they needed to do it before it became brain surgery. So I had 2 surgeries. You guys, my friends made me edibles. I was given syringes of Feco. And I will tell you, I did not have to take no pain medicine. Okay, none. And it's amazing because I really thought I was going to need to eat pain medicine. No, I did not. Matter of fact, I still have all the darn pain medicine they gave me, like up on a shelf, just in case somebody breaks a bone, and the doctors won't give them anything. That happens to a lot of people nowadays. They go in and they've got a broken bone or they're getting sutures, and they tell them to go home and take ibuprofen. And I'm like, you just get stitches? I mean, what? So yeah, our medical industry in the United States is very, very sad. It really is. The medical in the United States is not well. Other countries, there are not the labels of diagnoses in the mental health realm. And so when I think about somebody using anything, I really do say there had to have been something that happened to that person. People don't make a choice to literally, like, I want to be on pharmaceuticals. Well, I want to be addicted to those pharmaceuticals. And now that doctor's going to tell you, guess what? You don't get them no more. And then your body needs them. And so then you're going to go to something in the street to say, I need relief because these people made me an addict. Now they took it away. So now I need something. My kid's father has been dead for 12 years from septic toxic blood from IV heroin use. And the only reason he ever got on heroin, Sierra, is because he broke his back. They put him on pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceuticals were taken away. And as soon as they were taken away, he went to go seek some kind of relief. And it became heroin. Yes, the methadone was given to him. He would sell the methadone and buy heroin. And so, give good UAs, they give you takeouts, and then you can sell those takeouts and buy more heroin. So,
and honestly, Carrie, I always want to tell people that Oxycontin and all that is watered down heroin. So when people go get the real thing, right, it lasts longer, it works better, right, because it's the actual plant extract, right? I know that sounds crazy, but it is. That it
right. Yeah.
And it doesn't give you the side effects that the pills do, right? So, like, you're never going to get constipation from heroin. You're going to shit yourself, actually.
Right,
but the pills do.
Right. So anyway, now Kent is deceased, and I fought really hard for a bill called the Ricky's Bill up at our Capitol here in Washington State. And it is literally, it's to help our loved ones that are so gravely ill with the disease of addiction that they can't even get themselves to the point of saying, I need help, because they think that they're okay. But if we could prove that, we could actually get them the help they need, and they won't like us, and they'll be really mad at us, and that's okay too, because they'll be alive. And so 100%, I do believe that my full extract cannabis oil that I use, it is a full plant. It is not a CBD. It's not a THC. It is the full plant, because the full plant is what I need. If I didn't have my medicine, I don't think I could get out of bed without a walker in front of me and somebody putting me into a standing position, because I have a lot of problems. But I know that eating better and taking sugar out of my diet, the inflammation is gone, guys. It's gone. So I know that healthy eating and healthy living is super important for us to have a different outcome in our life. And it's like, our health is our wealth. And without our health, we don't have a wealth. And why would we take our wealth and put it into our health? It is a no-brainer for me. So I have learned so much from Sierra and her mother. Her mom is like all the time teaching me new things. And I absolutely do utilize what I'm hearing and learning. I hope someday that I'll get to meet Sierra. Deborah Cooper is a good friend of mine. She told me that she actually knows you and Landon. She did, oh, what was it that she did? All she did is gave medicine to children forever. And her name's Deborah Cooper.
Back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. And so
I remember her.
me and Deborah were in Eugene at a cannabis conference this last Saturday. And so I really, I feel so blessed to know the people that I've met in my life through the cannabis industry and the panels that we had, you know, up in Seattle at the Hemp Fest and the panels that we had at the Hemp Stock. All I know is I've learned so much, and I'm so blessed that I never gave up on medicine, which at 12 years old, I was put into a drug rehab, called a drug addict because I smoked marijuana. And it is in my records that I am a cannabis addicted to cannabis. And I said, I absolutely will not call it addiction because in all reality, I was asked, can I go up to Florida, Miami, Florida in September, but refrain from using? And I said, absolutely, absolutely. I can refrain from using. I don't have to use my medicine, but what I will do is I will take my capsules with my Becco in it and my coconut oil that I put in the capsules. You know, I make my night capsules, I make my day capsules. And so I don't have to actually inhalate anything the whole time I'm there, but I will be taking my full extract cannabis oil. Thank you, Annie. While I'm there. And so, yeah, it's my medicine. I have
I just want to say, for anybody out there listening, if you are a pain management or pain clinic patient and they are taking away your opioids, please feel free to reach out to me and I will get you some organic FECO tincture that will help you to get through and help your pain. And I have a donation program if you can't afford it. My website is cbdforall.org and you can get my contact there.
Say that slower. Say that slower. Say that slower.
cbdforall.org.
Yes.
CBD for all. CBD for all.
Yep. And I'm more than willing to help anybody that is in need, that their, pain management is being taken away, because Carrie's correct. They did such a good job throwing it upon everybody. And then it became a opioid, pandemic. And then now they've done such a good job reversing it that now the people that became physically dependent, I don't want to say addicted because it's different, physically dependent on that drug are going to have a horrible life without it, right? But we can switch it for a plant-based that's very similar in its compounds, and they will be able to easily get through that transition and then start to heal, which is the most important thing. But I've got to go for now. I've got a chiropractor appointment. But I really appreciate each one of you and your time and your dedication to what we're all doing. I know it's been quite a few years that, we've all been plucking along, and we still got a lot of work to do, but I'm honored to be doing the work with y'all.
Sierra, I'll reach out to you. And Hemp Hooray. Do you see I have Landon up on the screen right there?
Yeah.
I see him, my little baby.
He's so handsome, Sierra. He's so oh my gosh.
I know, I'm scared. Oh my God.
Right?
Carrie,
All
really
right.
nice to meet you.
I really hope you guys have a great day.
Nice to meet you.
And I'll see y'all next time.
We love you. I'll reach out to you in a couple weeks. Love.
All right, sounds good. Bye.
Bye, sweetheart. Jeff, what were you saying, sweetheart?
I just said I'll reach out to both of you very soon here.
Okay.
We just lost Rodimus. Why don't I share my screen with you? I'm going to show you something here that I made in honor of you, actually. Let's see here.
Oh.
So I'm going to share my screen with you here.
That's you.
Hang on. Yeah. Well, we're still live, and I lost my internet for about 10 minutes there, and so that's why I was all crazy there for a minute.
Right.
But here, let's.
Oh, I see it. Yes.
Okay, so you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, and check this out here. Check this movie out here that I made for you. Hang on. Add to stage.
Elliot and Elliot had a sense of humor, I had a sense of humor, and we wanted to keep things light about something that was very serious. At the time, we lived in Tom Mix's cabin, the log cabin in Laurel Canyon, and that's where we would rehearse. And Tom had a vault downstairs next to the bowling alley, and our manager would actually lock us in the vault because the police were always trying to bust us. He would lock us in the vault, give us a couple of joints, and we'd get ready for our rehearsal. So we were one day in there, locked in the vault, and I'm talking, and I'm very animate. My hands move all the time. And I get carried away talking sometimes, especially after smoking a little pot. Anyway, so I'm holding on to this joint and talking, and Elliot says, "Hey man, don't bogart that thing, pass it over." And I said, "What?" He said, "You're bogarting." I said, "What's bogarting?" It's hipsterism, man. It's like Humphrey Bogart when you're smoking a joint and talking and holding on to that thing and not passing it. If you hold on to it long enough until it goes out, that's called bogarting.
Hey, you should try our new prescription medication. Side effects include sneezing, wheezing, labor, breathing, trouble speaking, sleeping, eating, hemorrhages, internal bleeding, feeling short of
The guy
breath,
that
nausea,
wrote
drum
in
up, coughing, fever, blockages of the fluid, choking,
1969,
floating, tremors, seizures, coma, stroke, or
Bogart
death,
that
mood
joint.
swings, muscle aches, weight gain, fugue states, osteoporosis, sudden psychosis, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, masochism, vampirism, sudden necromanticism, phantom limb fanaticism, chronic deja vu, transient telepathy, changes in your destiny, ancient forms of leprosy, chronic deja vu, loss of hair, weight, smell, taste, balance, vision, hearing, strength, loss of memory, will to live, sense of self, fucks to give. Do not take this medication if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or a human person. Ask your doctor if it's right for you. Hey, you should try our new prescription medication.
Marijuana is safer than alcohol, everybody. If I can hear and prohibition together.
President Trump, please release and pardon Edwin Rubis. He is still in prison for a non-cannabis
Free
crime.
the prisoners, free the plant, free the planet, free yourself.
Don't forget, Aries, brothers and sisters, Chronic Magazine is having their event
This Saturday, 4/18.
And don't forget High Times and Charlotte. Welcome to episode 310. And today we have a Canna mom on the air. Hemp hemp hooray. There's Landon, everybody. Or is all about legacy. I call the people in the industry that are activists and tireless OGs. It's a noun, OG. One involved with like-minded others that provide a level of organization and resources that support much larger and more complex transactions than an individual could achieve. We OGs, a real gangster, is someone who stands up for what we believe in, who fights for what they want, who works relentlessly to reach their goals. A real gangster works with a team to create a network. Some call this organized crime. I call it being a real OG. The real crime is sitting down and standing back and not letting others dictate your world. Let's stand up together and let's grid out the world, because the world we see is a world of equality, prosperity, and connectivity. OGs rise up to the occasion of being the change. If I can hear with WEEDSDAYS.
Cannabis is the greatest plant on this earth. and it should be used properly. And don't believe all that negative propaganda that has been forced upon us over the last 100 years or so.
Happy Parade.
This is Tommy Chong for Lifers Madness.
Thank you all for joining us today. Welcome here. Tuesday. Happy Schedule 3. Let's get Schedule 9. Good afternoon, everybody. Is this thing on? Tap, tap, tap. Every week.
Free the prisoners, free the plant, free the planet, free yourself.
Every Weeds Day, everybody, I will be here. I will love you up and share with you what I know, and that I got to meet and baby Landon, and he's not a baby anymore. It's been like 14 years since I met him. So be positive, everybody. We talked a lot today about the cures for this and that, and that nobody deserves to be in jail for a plant. And so they're going to be going to the White House and to DC this month, and that's going to be epic. I think I'm going to stay back and work on my plant medicine movie and reconnecting with Sierra to do our Canna movie and tell the story, and make the world, allow the world to some awareness that it's okay not to use opiates. Okay, so that's what we learned today. And Freedom Go, we love you, Freedom Grow. Freedom Go is right here. Nobody should be in jail for victimless cannabis. And it's springtime now, so put your plants in, get them going in the ground, and love and light to everybody, and especially to the children, because you're coming out after us. So keep your head on straight. Don't smoke and drive, nobody, and be nice to each other. So it's Jeff Eichen here with Weeds Day. Remember, let's do a little shot here. So I think that's it. Let's see here. Do it again. So we got you. We got your back, we got your front, we got everything. And I'm going to film the Hempcrete Home Guide today, and that's going to be fun. Noah, and he's coming out from a little bit ways away, and that's going to be epic, everybody. Let's see if I can get Noah's project here. So I know it's here somewhere. There it is. So it's right here. So this little photograph here is what I'm going to be filming today. I'm going to make that photograph bigger here on my second screen here. So that is going to be a hempcrete home printed with a 3D printer, and you can do it in a day once you have your foundation, and it's going to be epic. And Noah's coming today, and we're going to support him, and we're raising $1 million to help make that set so it can go around the world. So everybody, hempcrete will be the insulation there. We're going to spray these bladders and then make beautiful homes. So everybody, Hemp Parade, Bob Marley's there. We have our magazine that we just came out with Vivian McPeak's incredible legacy in the episode. I mean, Vivian. Thank you, Vivian. We love you so much. And it's been a really great show, a little bit overtime today, but this is in Chronic Magazine, everybody. I don't have one in my hand. Let's see if there's one here. No, I don't see one, but it's beautiful. Look out for everything that I'm doing, and follow me and keep up with me, and I'll keep up with you. And remember to have love and be gentle with your partners and your dogs and your animals and the birds and the bees. Okay, love you. I'm going to get in the water today and swim again. I swam yesterday, did my 20 laps, and hemp hooray, everybody. That's all I got, and I'm really happy to have this show today. And sorry about my leaving the show for a minute, but I think it the kids took it away. And so thank you, Rodimus. Thank you, Sierra. And thank you, Carrie. Ham Ham Parade, everybody.